had gone through so much adversity,
Right.
from disappointment from high school, didn't have the opportunity to compete on the junior team, didn't have the opportunity to go to college because my parents didn't have the funds, promising from people that didn't go through. All this kind of stuff pushed me, encouraged me, motivated me. So when I was given this opportunity, I wasn't going to
Uh-huh.
let go. I was going to do everything to make sure I become better.
Welcome, everybody, back to the lab. This is the Transformation Lab. I'm David Moss.
And I'm your girl, Dr. E. Here in the lab is where we interview post-student athletes who has done an amazing job on the field. And now we want to know, what are they doing now and how do they transform their life to make it to the person that they are today? So today we have an amazing guest. His name is John. He was my captain when I was on the Ghana track and field team. I'm so excited that he is here to reveal his story and let us know how he made it thus far in life. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking, and thank you both for having me on this show.
No problem.
No
Love
problem.
to have you. Thank you for being on.
Yes, most definitely. So please tell us about you. Like, how did you get into track and field?
No, thank you again. So as you both know, I was born and raised in Ghana, grew up in Ghana. And in Ghana, we play soccer a lot. So growing up, I did play soccer with the hope that at some point I'll be able to play for the Ghanaian national team. So track and field, right now, it is the second biggest sports in Ghana, but soccer or football, we call it the rare football, is kind of a big deal. So that is what every child, of when I was growing up, was kind of, that's a sport that everybody plays. So I didn't know track and field. I didn't know anything about javelin up until like my second year in high school. So at one point, my second year in high school, we were playing soccer, and I went to school in a small town called Javelin. It's like called Javelin Senior High School, or JASS, JUASS. So one evening, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, we were playing soccer on the field, and on that same field, there was a guy. We called them like seniors because he was ahead of me. He was a year ahead of me, and he was throwing the javelin. He was the champion. In fact, he was the school record holder at that time, and he was throwing the javelin. He was practicing because the team was getting ready for what we call like inter schools. So every year in each region in Ghana, various high schools come together and they compete, just like they call it like state championships here, right, for high schoolers. In Ghana, we call it like inter schools. So the guy was kind of preparing for that inter schools in Kumasi. And then so I saw him just throwing that javelin. And I said, I can throw far than you. And then he said, no, he said, you can't. Do you know how long or how many years it took me to train to be able to throw that far? And I quote him directly. That's exactly what he said. And I said, well, give me the javelin. And then he gave it to me. And then he said, well, let me warn you now. This can be dangerous. You can harm your shoulders or your elbow because you have to warm up. You have to do, he told me all the things that I need to do to get my shoulders and my arm loosened to be able to throw. And then I just came in and I was like, give it to me, I can throw. So he was kind of really being nice, warning me that I can hurt myself. So I shouldn't let my ego push me to do something. I said, I think I can do it. So he gave me the javelin. I didn't even run, did crossover or nothing. I don't know what I did. For some reason, I just yanked that thing out of my hand. And then he had like a target, like, he was using it like a target, like a practice target, like, I want to throw this far. And then his target, I threw past his target. And then the sports officer, or they call them like a PE teacher, he was around, just standing around, and he saw me and asked me, and what is your name? I mentioned my name, and he said, you're on the team. So yeah,
I love it.
so that is my journey. But before that, I had done like inter-houses in cross country, because I like to stay active. But in terms of my first experience with the javelin, that is how it started. And then I also transitioned a little bit because I was a bit bigger. I also kind of did like shot put and discus, and I held all the 3 records for the school, and even at the Ashanti regional inter-school level, until I think it was broken by Achu or one of those guys. But the short story, the long story short, or however it is that I didn't really start track and field. I didn't know anything about it until my high school. So that is the genesis of how I started track and field.
That is amazing. And for those that do not know, John, what was the highest rank you were throwing the javelin in the world now?
So my last international meet before I got injured, I think I was ranked in the top 20. That was in Rio. But post that,
Right.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't.
Okay, I knew you were very high, like number 11 or number 12 in the world. So
yes, at some point.
man, yes, at some point. Good. No, that's amazing.
Yes. And those rankings like change. The more you compete, the more you gain points, the type of competition. So over the past years, I've been a bit out of the game. So those rankings like change from year to year. But yes, at some point I was ranked very high.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
hey, no problem. So when it came to you actually you performed in high school, you did it for obviously the last 2 years of your high school career.
Sure.
And then how did you get over here to the United States?
So yes, that is another story. So fast forward after high school, I got opportunity to also participated in the national level, the national athletics. Like so again, like just like the states, high school meet here after the states, just like the NCAA. So the top qualifiers will go to like nationals, right? So in the high school, the same thing in Ghana. So I did qualify in both events. I was also doing like handball. I know handball is not very common here in the US. Like it's like it's like a small ball. We throw it like we have some players from each side. It's very common in Europe and Africa. So I was automatically selected onto the handball team because I had a very strong arm power. I could throw. So that's all that you needed, right? So I did that at a national junior level in I think 2009 or so. So what happened was that after graduation, after I finished high school, then there was a roadblock. My parents were kind of struggling at that time to send me to college. So I couldn't go to college that year. I got a few like offers from like various universities in Ghana who promised that they were going to help me get into like, college, and they will pay for my tuition and other stuff. And then I will in return just play for the university. But because those kind of offers are not very big in Ghana, especially track and field, again, like I said, is the second biggest sports in Ghana. Those offers just fell through, and it didn't materialize. It was just a promise. So I didn't have the opportunity to go to school. So what happened was that the Ghana Security Services, in this case, the military, the armed forces, Navy, and then the Army, the police service, the immigration service, and all the other security agencies in Ghana also do have their own sports teams. So every year they come together and they compete. They call it like SISA games, SESSA. It's like an abbreviation of Security Agency Sports something. But so every year, so they kind of come together and they compete. And they also do recruit young high schoolers to join the service and in competing for the agents, because it was very big at that time. So I joined the police service so that I can compete. I can continue to compete. So what happened was that I think I sat home for 2-3 years, didn't get any offer for high school for college to high school, and I didn't have any options. So from the time that I graduated from high school to the time that I entered into the police service, I had spent like, I think 2 or 3 years without doing anything. And as you know, if well, Dr. Padu, you have also been in Ghana, and you know that we don't have like infrastructures. So even the javelin that I was throwing in high school was not even standard. There wasn't any like track. I was just throwing on the grass. So when I graduated and I came home, what I was doing was actually I was practicing with like a stick. That is what I was doing.
Wow.
There wasn't any competition. So when I got that opportunity to join the security services, after I couldn't go to university because of financial issues, I was so happy. And then I joined the police service. And then I competed in the security services game for the first time in 2012, and I placed second. So from there, what happened, Professor Francis Diodu, my mentor, was around. At that
Oh,
time, he was the head of the Ghana Olympic Committee and then also the head of the Ghana Athletics Association. So what he did was also, it was an opportunity for him to also like recruit, because the security services game at that time was very big. Like I said, that is where all the top athletes who didn't have the opportunity to go to college kind of end up, right? So that is where I ended up. He, at that time has instituted a policy where he was kind of recruiting like talented young people into the national team. So because I placed second, I got selected. We call it like camping. I got called to like the national camp. So I went to the national camp, trained with a team for a few years, and let me back up. So my high school record, I think it was 60 something meters with the 700 gram. And for those of you, your listeners who don't know the difference between the differences in like javelin, like the javelin, there's, in terms of the weight, is different from every category. Like the women or girls throw the javelin that weigh, I think, 500. For the women, they throw 600 gram. For boys, high schoolers and beyond, or 18 years and beyond, the weight of their javelin is 700 gram. And for men, I think 18 and above or 20 and above, their weight, the weight for the javelin that they throw is 800. So my first time competing with the 700 gram, oh no, the 800 gram, which is the men, was in the sister games. And then I think I threw close to 70 meters around that time with less than 6 months training. So I got selected to the national team, and then we went to Porto Novo in Benin for the African championships for the first time. And then I didn't know what I was doing, but for some reason, I still do remember exactly what happened. I got second. I didn't know how I did. So I threw, I think, 72 meters. And that was a big breakthrough for me because it was like the whole of Africa at that time.
Yeah.
Julius Yogo, who was, once like a world champion in 2015 and Olympic silver medalist, all these guys were coming up around the same time and they were throwing like very far. There were some Nigerian javelin throwers. There were some, I think, Egyptian. So there was really good javelin throwers on the continent. So for me to go there and throw like 72 meters and place second in the whole of Africa, that was a big deal, right? With poor technique, it was just kind of it surprises a lot of people. In fact, one of the athletes came to me and asked, "Who are you?" I mean, how can you just come here and just, we are veterans. We've been doing this.
I can hear them saying
for years.
in the African voice. Like, and who are you?
I know, right? In the voice, who are you? Just come here. And basically to them, it was kind of like an upset because I was nobody. And I think what happened at that time, I could tell because I didn't go in with any expectation. I didn't have anything to lose, right?
Right.
And as an athlete, and Dr. Ampadu, as you know, as an athlete, sometimes when you go into a competition, and you feel like I don't have anything to lose, or you become very like relaxed, right? And that alone can really help you really perform versus other people who who has something to lose or whom people expect a lot from them. So that's what happened, right?
That part.
So that was big. And that was the first time any Ghanaian athlete in terms of javelin has ever won any continental medal.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes. So that is a bit transition.
Yeah, especially in 6 months.
Yeah, so less than 6 months. So that was the first transition was from post high school into the security service, the police. The second transition was having the opportunity to compete in the national team and then getting a medal. So the next phase was because of my performance. I was, young. Everything that I was doing, I think it was more kind of like power because I did have a lot of power. I was young, probably stupid. At that time.
No.
So Professor Francis Dodu, who again, like I said, my mentor, just saw the potential in me, like somebody who doesn't have any basic like training, coaching, facilities and all those kind of stuff. If this person has been able to do this, if we give him the opportunity, then to go to a place where there is a better infrastructure, better coaching and better facilities, he will be able to improve. So what he did was, instead of staying in Ghana, he found like a school like here in the US for me. And again, another obstacle right there, because at the time that I was trying to come to the school in the US, I couldn't go straight to like Division 1 because at that time I think they did require like SAT or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't have SAT score at that time because in Ghana at that time you could only write SAT like exams like 2 times in a year. and the deadline had already passed like a month. So if I want to go
Wow.
to school in the US, go to Division One, I had to wait for another year. And I was like, I'm not going to wait for another year. So what happened was,
Exactly.
yep. So that is why I started my career here in the US as a student athlete from a junior college. So I went to a school in Kansas called Neosho County Community College to be able to build like credit hours so that I can transfer to the Division One. So that is another like circumvent around that ACT requirement. So I spent a semester at Neosho. Again, the progression, I started like throwing like 70 plus meters. I won the national title for the NJCAA. And then I transferred to an HBCU college in Marshall, Texas called like Wiley College. I know.
I'm sorry, no, I can't help it.
I know, yeah. I mean, I love Texas. I love Wiley. I'd wanted to stay there. But again, looking at my potential, looking at what I had, like, Wiley or Neosho County Community College was not going to be able to give me that kind of resources, that kind of training, that kind of equipment, and all those kind of stuff. Because my goal was to go to the Olympics, right? So I needed like something more than just having the facility. I needed coaching. I needed all those kind of resources that these two schools couldn't provide for me at that time. So that is my transition from high school to the Ghanaian national team, to coming to the US, becoming a student athlete. Now, if I want to go a step further, and I'm sorry, I just it's just like a connection, right? So another step further, I spent like 1 year over at Wiley College. I won the NIA, and Wiley is like NIA school, so National Athletics Intercollegiate Association, something like that, which is a little bit below Division 3, I think, or about the same as Division 3. I spent a year over there. I won the national title also there for the first time in Wiley's history. That somebody has, so everywhere I went, I was able to make some little history. So I was very excited. So from there, then I transferred to Middle Tennessee State University, and that is where everything started to kind of come together. My performance, coaching, resources, everything. So in terms of peaking, my life as an athlete really changed or started when I finally got to Middle Tennessee State University, and I was under the care of Coach Dean Hayes. May he still rest in peace. So that is my journey to becoming a student athlete in the US. Very long journey.
Whoa.
So what was the school transformation like? Like coming from going to school in Ghana and then coming to school in America, how was that transformation for you? What was that like, that path for you?
Yeah, what was that transition like?
Yes, so like I said, I skipped like a few years post high school. So I wasn't the average freshman. I was a bit matured when I was coming here. Number two, I had also, I had gone into the workforce, right? I had, trained like, as a police officer. So I was exposed to so many things, and I had also traveled like internationally to be able to compete in African championships. So when I got here, again, the transition, going back to the transition, it was very tough because one, before you can be even admitted into any school in the US, you have to provide all your documents, certification, you have to pay for it. At that time, electronics, they didn't accept like an email or PDF format or something. You have to mail it like with USPS or DHL, and you have to wait for your document to get to the school, and then you have to also mail some of your document to the NCA or NAIA for them to really satisfy you that you are eligible to compete. So to answer that question, it was a very tough, challenging transition because of all the the documentation, all the stuff that needs to be done before you can be cleared, and before a coach will offer any athlete a scholarship. And Dr. Mpadu, you know this as a student athlete, they have to make sure that you are clear by the division, by the NCAA. You can play for them, right? So the transition was tough. Again, moving to like Kansas, for the first time, I had traveled international, but not to a place where Kansas was like a flat land. I came in during January when it was freezing. One thing that happened was we didn't have an indoor facility. We did use the basketball gym or something. So it was very difficult, and javelin is an outdoor. That's all that I know how to do. So if I can't throw javelin indoors. Even if there's an indoor, I have to go outside and practice. And the temperature was a bit, coming from like a country where there is sunlight like 24/7, 365 days. It was a difficult transition for me. The weather, the food, I was okay because I'm a type of person that eats when I'm hungry. It doesn't matter. So the food was okay. And then another transition that was tough was academically. I think, not just the English not being my native language, but also the fact that I was out of school for 3-4 years and just coming to start. It was very difficult for me. And on top of that, balancing track and then also going to classes in the morning was another big challenge. So there were some obstacles, a lot of them. The transition was not very smooth, I must say. And I think it's just not just me, but also some of the athletes that I also came with. It was a very difficult transition, but in all, I think it was worth it because it opens up a lot of opportunities for us to be able to do better as athletes, and then also as people.
Yes,
that's good. That's good.
So, in regards to that journey, like what type of courage and determination it takes to it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to actually implement and be disciplined and actually achieve the goals that you are, trying to achieve. Like you really have to be focused in mind.
Sure.
But also you probably had an amazing or a good community around you. So like what did mentorship and support look like throughout your journey?
So yes, in terms of support, it started with the leadership of Professor Francis Diodu. Again, like I said, he's my mentor. I look up to him because, and going back to the question about the transition and the challenges, I didn't really feel it because I had people who have walked through that path before.
Right.
People to learn from, right? They advise me on a daily basis, not just how to become like a better athlete, but also how to navigate around some of the complex systems in the US, like immigration, academically, because these people came here many years, and they compete, not just competed at the highest level. Professor Francis Jodu is a 5-time Olympian. Professor Andrew Owusu, who is a professor at the Middle Tennessee State University right now. He's a 3-time Olympian, and they've won a lot of like international medals. They are doing excelling academically. They did excel academically, and then also on the field. So, so there were so many people that I could look up to, and like I said, Professor Dudu was one of them, and he was very helpful.
Hey you guys, it's your girl Dr. E. My name is Dr. Fua Ampadu-Moss, and this video is only for parents of student athletes who's about to enter that college level or who's already at that college level. I have an amazing community of parents and student athletes and coaches and mentors who is ready to make sure their student athlete graduates and gets across that stage. And I definitely want you to be a part of that amazing group to make sure they have all the action plans they need in regards to academia, networking, careers, like just everything that we needed, everything that we kind of neglected a little bit when we were in college, just to remind them that, hey, you need these amazing tools in order to make sure that you are successful when you cross that stage. So let's definitely bond together, get together, start networking, connecting with each other, and learning on how we can make all our student athletes' dreams possible on and off the field. So yes, again, my name is Dr. E. Click the link below, and I'll be more than happy to meet you in the Transformation Lab community.
The Middle Tennessee State University right now is a 3-time Olympian, and they've won a lot of like international medals. They are doing excelling academically. They did excel academically, and then also on the field. So, so there were so many people that I could look up to, and like I said, Professor Dudu was one of them, and he was very helpful, kind of helping me every day, even today. You know, after 10 years, he still kind of mentor me, help me understand certain things, encourage me. So I had these people in my life, right? But also, on the other hand, because I had gone through so much adversity,
Right.
you know, from disappointment, from high school, didn't have the opportunity to compete on the junior team, didn't have the opportunity to go to college because my parents didn't have the funds, promising from people that didn't go through. All this kind of stuff pushed me, encouraged me, motivated me. So when I was given this opportunity, I wasn't going to let go. I was going to do everything to make sure I become better.
Right.
So that in itself did motivated me because I had been through a lot, even just, you know, going for a visa interview, right? It's just one of the most biggest challenge that we faced. In fact, the first time we went for a visa interview to come here to the US, we were denied. There were 3 of us. We had everything. So all these kind of challenges really did motivated me. But I also, like I said, have people that I could look up to that made life a bit easier for me. My coaches, you know, they were very helpful. They have worked with like a lot of international athletes already, so they kind of really did understand the needs and the challenges. So they were always there. I had an amazing, like, you know, instructors and professors who were, one of them is Miss Patty, who was my first English teacher at Neosho. I do remember her, and she was very, very helpful. Kind of invited us to her home every now and then to kind of cook the Ghana jollof and other stuff.
Hey, that's what I'm talking
I know.
about.
and then she would invite some of her friends, and so
I love
you know,
it.
we're kind of had a lot of people who were supporting us, mentoring us, and it made that kind of transition life a bit easier for us.
Wow.
It's good that you had a mentor. Everybody doesn't have a mentor opportunity, you know, have somebody guide them, even if it's words. So, you know, words here and there, but it's good that you have a mentor because that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And it roads to success. Having a
Exactly.
mentor is the quickest way to get there.
Because their pathway's already curated. You know what I mean? They already been through it. They know exactly what's going to happen, what you need. And for you to be open-minded as well and to accept whatever, you know what I mean, of the knowledge that they're giving you. Like, it also shows, it shows how mature you were, even though you're probably like, I don't know how. Like, you were mature enough to accept it and say, okay, and this is the roadmap. I trust you. And you trusted your career, you know what I mean, to your support group and your mentor. So that's amazing. Mentorship is both sides.
Yes.
It has to be, not everybody can be a mentee or a mentor.
Yes.
Everybody has to accept the role of what that looks like.
Yes.
But I definitely understand, especially like the struggle. When I was a student athlete and I wasn't cleared yet with the NCAA. For those of you who do not know, I'm a hammer and weight thrower. In high school, I did shot put and discus, but I laid those to rest. Entered college. I actually went on my college visit and I seen this girl. She was throwing the hammer and she was so inspiring. I was like, "What is that?" And I'm the type of person where if I see it and like I'm kind of like you with the javelin throw, like, "Yo, bet I got you. I bet you I could beat you."
Yeah.
I was kind of the same way with the hammer throw. And but when I didn't get cleared yet, when I finally said, all right, I want to go ahead and go to Kent State, I couldn't practice. So I had to like create a hammer. So like, one of those like drawstring book bags with the string. I threw a shot put in there.
Yeah.
And I taped it up all the way up. Like I twisted it, twisted it, taped it all the way up to the ropes, like tape, like duct tape. Yeah. And then I took a handle out the shed. Like if I don't get at least one thing, I took a handle off the shed, and then I had I'm from Ohio, so we got winter gloves. It's not a hammer glove, but I had winter gloves, and that's what I use, and I practiced with that for my my freshman year. Like actually that whole almost a full fall semester, I couldn't practice, so I was practicing on my own. And when I tell you, my coach was like, "Hey, girl, how did you get better? Like you don't have a hammer." I'm like, "Yo, you know where I'm from?"
Yeah.
Right, I'm from the community, by any means necessary. So
sure.
I knew what I wanted. I knew what my goals were, and I did what it took to get there. So
sure.
Yeah. Man. So what type of skill do you think that somebody needs to get to where you are today? Like I could tell, for me personally, I could tell it's definitely just having a never give up spirit. Like I feel like that's one of the skills, definitely. Because a lot of people might have said, you know what, it's too tough right now. I don't know if I can do it. But what skills do you think that someone needs in order to develop to the javelin thrower that you are today?
Yes, and yeah, that is it's a great question. But I think each and every individual athlete has their own like path to success.
Yeah.
That my story, like I said, I see my story as like an outlier compared to like the pool of athletes who kind of go through my this same stage to go to college and even at a professional level, because again, and it's because of where I grew up, right? So in terms of skills, I don't know if I would classify this as a skill, but I think that it's not a skill. Like it may be personality or attitude, right? Is what I would probably call it. The first person is just know what you want, right? Once you, like you said, when you were not cleared to compete, you still kind of invented something, right, to be able to practice.
Right.
And I think at every tough situation, at every instance, whatever thing happens in your life, you can make something out of it. Like,
Yeah.
the saying that goes like, if life give you lemon, make lemonade out of it. I think
Yes.
it's true. Yeah, I mean, and just not just an athlete or student athlete, and the people who are just listening to your podcast is not just being a student athlete or the skills and other stuff, but I think at every circumstance, at everything that happens, every moment, you can still make something out of it, right?
Yes.
And to me, that is whether it's a skill or attitude that I kind of developed, that whatever the situation is, I'm just going to make sure I make something good out of it. So when I wanted to practice after high school and I didn't have the javelin, I went to the bush and I used a machete and I kind of cut down some few sticks and I turned into a javelin and I was practicing because I wanted to. So I think it's the attitude. So what I usually tell like some of my student athletes that I met here in the US, I just always try to tell them the opportunity, the enormous opportunity and resources that are at their disposal, right? And I think maybe when there's too much opportunities or there's too much resources, sometimes you tend to lose focus of, like you go to Walmart and like you have variety of so many stuff. Sometimes you get confused, like you don't even know what you want anymore. Versus some of us who didn't
Like I
have
know I came
anything.
here for grapes, but for some reason,
I know, right?
cart full of food.
So I just sometimes point out to the young people that I meet, the young people who want to be a student athlete or want to do good, is just try to tell them that there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of resources. I use my life as an example, and even though, like I said, every person's life is different, journey is different, but I just point that one to them that you can make something out of it. So if I go to like downtown St. Louis and I see some young kids, in the neighborhood or something, I just try to tell them, hey, do you know you can go to college? You can play sports and get free, and get a free school, basically, basically get a degree for free and just play sports, right? So I think the first skill, like I said, I've described, whether it's the skill or attitude, just knowing what you want, be determined. Discipline is very, very important, right? Once you know what you want, then you have to be disciplined. Then you have to work for it, and by working for it, you have to be disciplined. You have to let certain things go. Even up to now, there are certain things that I really want to do as an adult that I restrict myself from not doing because I want to achieve something. Before this podcast, I think you were asking me if I'm still kind of training, for next year. And
right, I'm still training for the Olympian.
as far as the journey or the journey is not to 2024 is not very straight. I'm not very sure, and the timing of everything. I still mentally, I've psyched myself that I am still an athlete and I still want to achieve this goal. So there's certain things that I'm not doing. I'm disciplined with my time, with my training, my food, certain things, right? So I think that those are some of the attitude skill sets that anyone, whether a student athlete want to be a student athlete, want to compete at the highest level. If you talk to some of these, highly elite athletes, they will tell you the same thing. It's discipline. If you don't have discipline, even athletes who are not disciplined for some reason manage to get to the highest level. In terms of their longevity, they don't stay up long. They just come down very quick because they are not disciplined or something happens. So
right.
I think that is a few that I can say that in my case applies to me. What other skills can I think of? I don't know.
No, you're fine. I'm thinking that I mean, like, you're totally right. When it comes to doing, okay, this one thing where you say, hey, it's kind of like, you can give somebody the ingredients on how to make something, but at the
Sure.
end of the day, if you aren't precise, like if you're not mentally there, it's not gonna, you know what I mean? It's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work
Sure.
out. It's gonna taste the same because you was half-hearted. You know what I mean? You ain't put your foot
Yes.
in it like, like I would. But
Yes.
definitely like having the skills of personal development and who you are and what you stand for and how you stay focused and like what your determination is, what are your goals, what's your vow, like what are you truly trying to achieve, then that brings forth the attitude you will have when it comes to doing whatever skills you need to do in order to be a great javelin thrower.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, like I could tell someone to go outside, like I could tell my kids, hey, go outside, I want you to make 20 shots. Like, but like, how are you strategically thinking about these shots? How are you going to make them? What is your attitude? You know what I mean? During that time,
Mm-hmm.
because, if you don't have the right mindset, the heart, if you don't have the heart, if it's not there, then you're going to fail. Like it takes
Right.
great courage to take that first step, but definitely.
Right.
But have that discipline and consistency, like
Right.
have that determination to have that never give up spirit. Like
Right.
that's another animal that people aren't aware of. People always want the finished product. Like, oh my gosh, John out here 11th in the world. I'm about to be like him. And
Right.
practicing one or 2 days a week. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Right. Right.
But I think one thing when you were talking about how you may or may not train for 2024, I mean, you may or may not, fully make it because I know you're in school right now, and
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
I think that, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right?
Sure.
Or even like all the practice that you have done thus far, like goes into a bucket. So as you were saying, like, those have amazing memory. And technically, like you're at a place where I believe that you could jump into the weight room, however many months that you need to before the Olympics, and
Sure.
actually still make it because you've already put in so much work. You know what I mean?
Sure. Sure.
Before now. So yeah, I
Sure.
think you'll be good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just society is right now. Instant gratification. Nobody wants to really put in the work. They just want the results. And it doesn't work like that. You can't just get,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
you want to
Yes.
go to the
Yes.
lab and come out, I got it. No, you put in no work. You did nothing, busted no butt. Doesn't work that.
Yes.
You got to grind and you got to put in the work, from the heart. And
Yes.
really make, like you said, make that determination that this is what you want to get done.
Yeah, because that joy that you see on the athlete's face, like when I PR or when you PR, like it's that joy comes from how much we have triumphed up to this point.
Yeah, feeling of accomplishment.
Yes.
That feeling of accomplishment. It's
Right.
not just, hey, I just happened to throw. No, I
Right.
worked my ass off to be
That
able to
part.
throw. And that's why I'm so happy, and that's why I'm overjoyed. Like that's why they always catch us on what's it called? Catch us on camera in that one specific moment because they know how hard we worked up to that moment, and they know about when it's time for us to throw, we plan on yelling at the end, but we're yelling and we're so excited because how hard we had to work. You know what I mean, to get to that point. It's not just oh my gosh, it just happened. Like no,
Yes.
it just
Yes.
happened.
Blood,
Sweat, and tears from the root of
Consistency. Yep.
yes. So I definitely understand like your viewpoint when it comes to what type of person does it take to even do these type of skills.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like that personality, that focusedness is irreplaceable.
Right.
It's something like when you develop it, you are unstoppable.
Yes.
Like
Definitely.
100% unstoppable. So tell us, so you're amazing javelin throwing athlete, top 20 in the world. you decide to jump into school now, right?
Yes.
So, like, tell us about that journey and what your, like, future goals are. Once
Yeah.
you get your degree.
Thank you. Yeah. Top 20. Just a few comment on that top 20 many years ago. But
Hey, no such thing.
What it
Hey,
is, we got
yo, we
there.
got screenshots. It said right here.
yeah. So what I did was I when I finished my first degree, I also went ahead and got my second degree right away. Got my master's out of the way, and then in 2019 or so, I think I got admitted to start my PhD in University of Texas, and then COVID hit right after. So I kind of pulled back a little bit, and then so I just actually started again. So right now I'm taking classes at the University of Missouri St. Louis, and my goal is like I said before, I had a mentorship from people who have been student athletes and then transition into the field. One thing we all know as an athlete, two things, not one thing, two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to get old. At some point, you will not be able to throw again. That's number one. Number two, the unfortunate thing can happen. You can get an injury and you may never come back again.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So those are the two things that at some point, well, some people will get lucky on the last point that I made, i.e. the injury part. But even if you get lucky, number one is still going to catch up with you. Age is going to catch up with you.
Right.
So as an athlete, what are you going to do? And Dr. Ampomah, I think this is your field. You all know that only 1% of college athletes end up going professionally. So
yeah,
statistically. So I began thinking about that. At some point, I want to transition. I love staying in the field. I think I can coach. I can do so many things, but I also wanted to do something beyond, track and field, right? I want to mentor young ones, help them from Ghana, get this opportunity, come here, become better. But I also want to follow the footsteps of Professor Francis Diodu, who went to the Olympics 5 times, won many international medals, and a renowned professor. So those stuff just motivated me, right? So when I'm done and eventually when I get a title like you, Dr. Ampomah, I don't know when. I just started. I have a long way to go though.
I knew I was your inspiration.
I know, but I want to go into teaching. I right now I'm working at University of Missouri St. Louis, in the international office. Kind of they call it a designated school official, liaison between like the government and school students, making sure that when students come here, just like I came here a few years ago, they follow the U.S. immigration rules. They go to class. They don't engage in any activity contrary to their F1, their student status, right? So that is what I'm doing. So I'm working full time, training part time, and then going to school almost like a full time. So so eventually that is what motivated me to kind of go back into the classroom, knowing that at some point we won't be able to compete every time. And what happened to me in 2017, and I don't know if I did mention it, but I got injury in 2017. I tore my pec major. That took me out.
I remember that.
Yeah. So since then, I have not been able to be back on top. So 2024 is when I am going full out, no matter what, right? So, but that incident that happened in 2017 taught me a lesson that at some point I have to find transition. I have to think about transitioning because I can't compete every time. And the injury, can happen, can come back again anytime, right? So, so that is that is my transition. That is how I decided to transition back, get my, my degree, go back to the classroom, maybe teach research, but also continue to build myself like professionally in the field, to get better, in that regard.
Yes. And I have to say, so when I was coaching at Tennessee State, and you was at MTSU at the time, it's about what, a 40-minute drive.
Sure.
I would always ask John, like, hey, now granted, I'm okay with the shot put, discus, and of course the hammer throw and the weight, but the javelin, I mean, you want me to coach what? Like, I used to call John, and when I
I
tell
do
you,
remember.
amazing, he would just
Yeah.
be right there. Like, he will be right there. And it will bring shoes with him. Like, hey, your athlete doesn't have any shoes. Like, you're right. Where I'm from, when I was in college, Coach Spenger will tell you my first, almost first year, I was turning in tennis shoes. So,
yeah.
But no, he helped get my students correct. Actually, the one you gave the shoes to and try to help out, he's actually going to be podcasting with us next.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, he is now he owns his own tax accounting firm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm
We
very
love to
proud
hear
of
that.
him.
We love to hear that story. Those stories
I
are
know,
what
right?
keeps us
That
going.
transformation.
The transition, those kind of stuff, you become like a proud like coach in your case. And just knowing that, this person, walked through your hands, passed through your hands at some point, and you were able to impact their life. And that's, I think, again, going back to like, all these people that we pass through your coach, right? These people become part of us. It's a family, like track and like, I got to meet you and your family, your husband here, because of track. And those moments are golden, so I'm happy that this young man, is doing well and is going to come to your show. I'll be watching. I'll be watching I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah.
Thank you. He's definitely gonna be happy to hear from you.
Yeah.
So, if you were to tell your younger self when you got off the plane, like, hey, what would you tell your younger self like about your journey? And if you just had like a couple seconds, like 10 seconds to tell him, well, what would you tell him about who you are today in the transformation that he's about to make?
Just keep believing. Just keep believing. I think one of Dr. King's, I think, quote that if you can run, just walk. If you can walk, just crawl, or something like that. But I think what he finished was that his last sentence was the most important. He said, "But whatever you do or whatever happened, you just have to keep moving."
Yes.
That's
amazing.
That is.
Yeah. I will, tell them to just, keep believing, because some of us, sports or track and field is what really got us from certain environments, certain situations. And I see so many young men, especially young Black men, in various communities that, those are just little me's, right? I always call them, even in Ghana, there are so many little me's around. And the difference between, and if I'm deviating, I'm sorry, but the difference between me and others who are not me in Ghana, in terms of everything, I think is opportunity. Opportunity is what separated me from any other person. I don't think I'm a better person than any other person that I grew up with. Even in this, where I am right now, I still don't believe I am better. I may have some, discipline and other stuff that eventually has helped me a little bit, or people in my life, like mentors I've mentioned.
Right.
But I still don't think that I was better in any way other than the opportunity that I got. So, sorry, somebody just
No, you're fine. You're
called.
fine.
But it's more than 10 seconds, but all I could say was just tell my young ones, just keep believing and just keep working.
I like that. That's amazing. That's cool. So if someone wanted to like reach out to you, like where can they find you?
They can find me on social media, on Facebook or Instagram. My account is public, so they don't have to do anything to just DM me or or anything if they have question. If any young one watches your show and they want to kind of hear more about my story, want to learn about how to become a student athlete, the opportunities and resources out there. I will be very happy to kind of connect with them. I'll be happy to share my experience. I always want to share my experience to motivate people that if I can do it, like anybody can. Like I said, I am below average. I'm not better in any way. It's just opportunity. Once people hear it, because information is knowledge, right? Once people know that information out there, once people know that, hey, actually I can go to college and play sports and get a free degree and then make my life better. People don't know.
Right.
Most people don't know. So those are some of the stuff that I think if anybody want to reach out and talk about it and take some little advice here and there from me, they can reach out to me on social media. I'm not very explosive on LinkedIn, but they can also find me. If they do send me a message over there, I'll respond and connect with them.
Okay.
Is there any current or future projects you got going on outside of the schooling?
Oh, yeah, I know, right? So nowadays I spend all my weekends just kind of in schoolwork. So when people ask me about projects, I I don't know what to say.
Or like, where
But
do you see yourself
in
5 years
terms
from
of but in terms my one of the project that I've started a little bit, build a foundation. I have built it, but I haven't really kind of been actively like kind of doing it. I want to really help young student athletes from Ghana, help them create that opportunity that I received from Professor Francis Diodu and the Ghana Athletics Association, just help them also get that opportunity to come here. So also maybe build like a training camp, because Ghana, as far as track and field is concerned, is mostly about sprints and jumps. Throwers, we are the minority, and Dr. Ampadu, you can testify to that throwers are minority wherever you go. So, but there are a lot of young men who have the potential to become like future Olympic athletes in throwing, whether hammer, javelin, shot put. So I want to build something like that, like a community, call it like club or something, where like a facility or something where people with equipment and all those kind of stuff, where people can just come there and practice, right? So that is a project that I'm kind of thinking about doing in Ghana, but also here, since I'm already here in the US, I think there's a lot that I can do here within certain communities, minority disadvantaged communities. If I can go there and just talk to them and just let them know that this was my situation, even if I cannot provide them with any kind of resources. I just want them to hear my story, and I think by them hearing my story, maybe that will help. So that is something that I want to do here in the US also. And then also like volunteer my time. If there's like a track and field club, or I'm kind of volunteering for some high schools and some universities around. Just volunteer my time, just trying to help the young ones in terms of like strength building or techniques. Help people just get better. So those are some of the projects that I'm kind of doing right now. Some of them bit by bit, and then in the long term, I want to build something like solid like kind of foundation, or solid like throwers club or something in Ghana to help people kind of migrate here, come to school, get scholarship and all those kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes,
that's good.
We could definitely tag team that. And I think
Yeah.
Because I know we were just talking about that, but anyways, we're gonna go ahead and close up the podcast. We really appreciate you coming
so much.
on.
Thank you so much.
I really think that what you just said helps help segue into actually help segue to the second glance program that we have, where we have Olympians or coaches come look at your throws. So if you are a thrower out there and you need some assistance in the javelin throw, or in the shot put, or the discus, or hammer, or weight, we'll be more than happy to help you along your journey. And then also you'll get access to amazing podcasts, and also access to Olympians. Like, who doesn't want access to Olympians and top Division I coaches? So the program's only $27 a month, and I think you guys are going to love it, most definitely. So just go in the description, and we'll be more than happy to assist you to make sure that you make it to the top in big stage as well. And then we also have another program for just student athletes in general. So if you are struggling within academia, or you think you may struggle, or if you just want somebody there or a mentor there, then guess what? We have an amazing program that helps you out with the top academic strategies you need in order to make sure that you graduate and cross that stage. So please just go ahead and click on the link below, and we're more than happy to help you out with your professional, personal, and academic journey. Anyways, you guys, until next time, thank you for visiting the Transformation Lab. See you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, you guys, we really hope you enjoyed that last episode.
And if you're really ready to keep transforming, go ahead and jump into that next lab episode. The one right here. Down here, the link right here.
It's probably over here.
Or there, or here. Link, click. Go ahead. You got it.